You right there guys, this is Dale of Loadout by Airsoft, and today we're doing the airsoft gear that I take out onto the field with me. So as a general overview, what I try and do for my loadout is run as minimal gear as possible. My main thing is I like to be able to sprint for as long as I can about the place. I don't want to be catching myself on anything like tree branches or getting stuck in shrubs. And I just want to be able to sprint as far into the field as I can to get that flank early on people, and so get a good angle before they get there. And with that in mind, I try and run as few pouches or unnecessary things holding me down weight-wise as well. So if it's bulky, if it catches on things, if it weighs too much, I leave it behind as a general rule of thumb. So working our way from the top down, we're going to assume first off that this is one of those games where I'm not actually running my camera gear. Like maybe the batteries ran out, maybe I've got enough footage of the day, maybe I am sick to death of having that headband mount on my head for so long because it gets really sweaty and it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. But it is a necessary evil for me because that's the mount I find that gets the best footage. Like it's exactly where my viewpoint is, so I will almost always be wearing the camera mount to games. The only times I don't is when I'm out of footage or sick to death of the thing. So yeah, whilst it is essential for me, it's far from aesthetically pleasing though. So whenever I don't need the camera, it goes back in the car, cap comes out. So I like running a cap more than anything else, just because it is very lightweight, like it's very minimalistic, but these ones are personalised as well. Like I get these from GZ every couple of years. Like they'll do a thing where the first 500 people to the event, they'll get like a personalised cap with a call sign in it. So I must have about 3 or 4 of these dotted around the house in various colours. But I do like the fact that it's just light, it keeps the sun out of your eyes, it's not too bulky. And I've never really been a fan of helmets, I have to say. Like, I tend to find the helmets are a bit too uncomfortable, they're too large, too bulky. But worst of all is, I think that when you're wearing a helmet, sometimes you can't feel your hits. You may hear the shot ding off it, but when you're in the heat of the moment and you're running through a place and your gear's making a load of noise and your breathing's up and you just won't hear something like that. And I never want to be put in a situation where somebody has hit me and I've not realised because I'm wearing a helmet. So not a problem with a cap. And unless you make a habit of running face first into buildings and trees, I don't think you need head protection for airsoft, to be fair. So for eye and face protection, what I tend to wear more often than not are some clear glasses and a half mesh face mask. I really prefer clear glasses over anything else just because it gives me a really good vision of what I'm seeing in front of me. Like what I find with the mesh glasses, it has the effect of darkening your vision somewhat. When you've got these, like if it's too sunny, you just get ones with the shades on them, but I really prefer the clear just because it allows you to see everything in front of you and just in good detail. Like anything that obscures my vision is not something I'm a fan of. Same with the goggles, more so because they have a problem of overheating and steaming up way more than glasses do. Like these are actually quite good for not doing that. I'll still rotate my iPro out every year or so, like get a new one. Like it doesn't have to be mega expensive, but I think that keeping on top of that is a good thing, just because A, it keeps the structure and integrity of the thing. Like this one's about due with the nose bit coming loose, but also when you get hit in the eyes with these things, like it'll scratch a little bit and you'll just notice them in game sometimes and it'll just draw all your attention for a little while. So it's nice to have new clear lenses every so often. The face mask itself is far from comfortable. Like I do not like running this thing, but I have to because for the longest time I didn't wear any face protection at all. And one day at Black Dagger Airsoft, when it was still Black Dagger, we were playing in there and I got shot in the nose and a BB embedded itself in there. Had to literally pop the bloody thing out. And to this day there's a very tiny little crater in my nose there from where it was. And in my eyes, I got very lucky with that. I have been hit in the tooth before, but I still have all of them and they're not chipped or anything, so I've been very, very lucky for that. But that was kind of the wake-up call for me for, oh yeah, face protection's a good idea. So I'll always take this out with me. If I'm like at long range sniping and I'm overheating, maybe it'll come down for a little bit if I don't think I'm in any danger, but especially if like I think I'm gonna have to get close up to the enemy team, and especially indoors, this definitely goes up because it's saved me a lot of trouble, and I'd dread to think what would happen if you tried room clearing without face protection. So for the vast majority of the airsoft calendar, about 3/4 of the year, what you'll find me in is this Gore-Tex jacket. I absolutely love this thing. I picked up my first one back in 2011 at Ground Zero, and that one lasted me a good 6 years. And I am not kind to any of the gear I have, so the fact it lasted that long was a great testament. I loved it so much. In fact, once it eventually did wear out, I went and bought the exact same one again because I just liked them so much. I like the fact that even though it's not camouflage, I play in woodland a lot, so it's a decent background colour. One thing I've noticed, interestingly, is that depending on the time of year and the lighting, this will change colour from green to a light brown and back again. It's a bit strange, but key feature though is that it's waterproof, so I can always take this out even if it's chucking it down with rain. And even though there is a small thermal lining on the inside, so it feels a little bit like a very lightweight fleece, it is still very breathable. So that's why I'm able to take this into winter and just put extra things underneath it, and into spring or to maybe a tiny bit of summer if the weather's not uber hot. So yeah, it's a general good all-round bit of clothing that I really like. So one other thing I'll gravitate to on the top half, especially when I go into CQB areas and it's a bit warm on the inside, is this DPM U-bag. It's the breathable midsection that really does it for me, but the fact that there is actually some decent material on the arms, so when you're running in the CQB environment and you get shot, there is still something covering your skin, and it's a bit firmer than just this material, because if this was everywhere on it, you would really start to feel those hits and it actually somewhat sting. It's less of a problem with the midsection in this because I usually have the vest over the top of it, adding a bit more protection, but it's very breathable. And when you're running around in a very small, cramped environment and getting a bit of body heat up, like having that breathable midsection is crucial. But having like the extra material on the sides just to keep you protected is quite good for the CQB environment. One thing I'm not a huge fan about it, however, is how easily torn this midsection is. Because only like 2-3 games after I got it, I like caught the back of this on like some fencing, I think it was, and just tore a hole in the back of it. So not particularly great build quality, I'm afraid, but I do like the general aesthetic of it, however. If, however, I find that the day is a bit too warm, a bit too sunny, and the rest of the stuff is making me overheat, I'll just come down to this combatuk.com top, combat with a K, a bit like Mortal Kombat style. But this is what I'll default to if I'm getting too warm with everything else. I don't really mind my arms being exposed so much on a warm day. But I will admit this isn't the best top for the purpose, purely because it's cotton. If I can find something that's a bit more breathable but still has like the patch things on the shoulders, then I would absolutely jump on that. Just need to really keep my eye out for those sort of things if I can. But yeah, those are the top halves that I would tend to wear, excluding the vest, but we'll have a look at that next. So next we move on to this Miltech modular vest. When I originally got it, it came with a whole bunch of pouches that you can put about the place. The entire thing is covered in moly, so you can put those wherever you like. But I was never a fan of the pouches that came with it. I found that there was no structural rigidity to the thing. They didn't really keep a box shape. There was nothing in the top flap keeping its shape. So whenever you put something in them, I found that the top corners were very loose, and if you had something slim, like say a TMVSR mag, they could slip right out of there. So did not care for the pouches, took them off entirely, and I run it without them at all. And the main reason I can get away with that is because it has two big zipped up sections on either side here. So what I'll tend to do is I'll run my AEG mags, the big bulky ones, on the right side. I shoot left-handed, so I don't want it interfering with me shouldering my weaponry. And the slimmer, smaller TMVSR mags, maybe a speed loader, on the left-hand side. One thing to know about this is the second one I've ever owned, because every so often you'll notice that there'll be a tooth missing in these, and the last one just lost so many it became a bit of a pain to get the zips up, so I had to get rid of that one in the end. That did tend to last me about a good 4 or 5 years though, so I felt very confident in just buying the same one again. And also I don't like vests that have fixed pouches on them. I just like the ability to take them off entirely, and nothing else has these big zip pouches that I've seen. I much rather keep something in a zipped bit that's close to my body. It pulls it taut, but mainly because nothing is ever falling out of a zip pocket. Like, that's just not happening whatsoever. These bits on the vest did not come with it. There's some extra Viper shotgun holders, and they are completely there for show at the moment. Like, I never actually run shotgun shells in this thing. I just keep them in the zip pocket. I do like the look of it, but it doesn't really do a good job of gripping the shells. Like, they're very easy to slide out of there. When you're running up and down, you're going forwards, these will come loose and fall out. So I think what I need to do is just get like a sewing machine or something and just stitch another line just to pull this elastic a bit tauter. But yeah, it's good for show though. But in general as well, if I can get away with it, I will not run the vest at all. The only times I ever want to run it is if it's cold, if I'm running 2 guns and therefore need 2 kinds of mags because the AEG ones tend to be a bit bulkier, or if I'm indoors and I just want the extra layer of protection. But if I'm just running, say, my VSR, the Gore-Tex like jacket I was wearing earlier has zipped pockets on the side there, so I'll just keep them in there. If I don't need the vest, I won't run it. So going on to my lower half then, I will almost always be running these DPM trousers. You can find these at literally anywhere that sells army surplus. DPM and a hoodie used to be the standard new person loadout, but what I've actually found is in airsoft shops, DPM's becoming a little bit harder to find. It used to be ubiquitous, you would see this stuff everywhere, but that's slowly transitioning into multicam now, and the DPM's kind of being phased out. I just generally prefer the look of DPM over multicam, however, especially since I always play in a woodland setting. I find that it actually fits that background a lot better than multicam does, because multicam is trying to do the whole thing of camouflage for everything and therefore is camouflage for nothing. But never be fooled into thinking that yes, the camouflage pattern is just the one I need for this setting and it will hide me from everyone. No, camo doesn't work in airsoft, so don't worry yourself too much about that. The only exception would be if you're wearing a ghillie suit, and on the subject of that, even though I really love playing the sniper and I'll always try to go for the long range kills and like try and hide myself and stay stealthy, I have never ever wanted to wear a ghillie suit into a game. I've borrowed one from people I know like once or twice, just in the safe zone really, and they're too big, heavy, cumbersome, but what really annoys me most about them is when you're trying to actually hide in the things, they catch on everything, every little bramble and twig, and you'll spend half the game unsticking yourself from the various shrubbery wearing those things. So I might end up getting one of those like overbody thin leaf suit things, like the really light ones, but again, relying on camo too much isn't really that applicable to airsoft. Sure, if you do it well, it can work, but there is a massive asterisk involved in that you need to know how to make it work. You don't just put a ghillie suit on and become invisible. But yeah, that said, I've never particularly been a fan of them in general. So moving on to my footwear then, there is literally nothing special about these. I just picked them up from Mountain Warehouse as long as they are waterproof, have a good thick tread on the bottom, and more importantly have the ankle support, which is this race section here. They are good to go for me. Like I've never been particularly bothered about getting authentic boots because I am never kind to these. So I always replace these every 2 or 3 years just because I'm forever tearing them up. Like I'll run about the place, getting them caught on brambles and stuff, so they never tend to last me particularly long. But so yeah, I don't put 100% of thought into what boots I get. As long as waterproof, good tread, ankle support, yeah, I'm more than happy to run them. So that's a general overview of my gear loadout. It's very simple, basic, lightweight, manoeuvrable, and those are the kind of tenets I seek to aim for it. I've never been particularly bothered about getting a unique or specific real-world military loadout. Like, I think the only thing that would possibly come close to the look I've got going is the teams from SG-1, if you ever watched that show back in the day. But I don't try to aim for anything. I just go for the things that I like, that are comfortable, and as long as they don't get in my way and I'm as lightweight and manoeuvrable as possible, I'm very happy with it. So let me know if you agree with the kind of loadout I'm trying to go for, if you see what I'm doing, if you can think of a way of improving it, and also if you've noticed the patches I've had throughout this video. Like, leave a comment below and just see if you can reel off where they all come from, just as a little challenge for you all. But until next time then, this has been Dale of Lone Wombat Airsoft.